The conservative and liberal demographics are two conflicting groups for most instances, at the very least here in the Western world. A short way to explain why these two groups are at odds with one another is that conservatives are not very fond of change, while liberals essentially believe change is always for the better. However, there is a reason why they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They also say the more things change, the more they stay the same. For someone who is very ignorant, it can be difficult to tell which demographic is the majority and which is the minority, at the very least in America. After all, when you see long marches such as these from both sides, you may conclude that the two demographics are just about the same size. We had conservatives winning the presidential election in 2016 and liberals winning in 2020. A 50-50 rivalry, basically. But this is just in terms of sheer numbers when it comes to political and social beliefs. The question I pose is, which side holds more objective power for each individual? Conservatives or liberals? The answer can obviously vary depending on your definition of objective power, and which factors that matter. But when it comes to business and money, reality shows that conservatives beat liberals by a landslide, both in terms of quality and quantity. Disney was once a company providing magical entertainment for adults and children alike. The company has existed for decades and they remained successful without making any drastic changes to their practices, so to say. Which is why you may consider Disney a conservative company. But recently, they have been trying to branch out and draw in new demographics, and this is ignoring the clear signs that Disney is facing challenges with creating new and original stories or adaptations. Indeed, Disney eventually reached out to liberals of the modern day, and let's just say the conservatives who stuck with Disney for the longest time didn't take it very well. The short version of it is that conservatives, parents especially, do not take kindly towards certain things being put out by a company which ultimately produces family-friendly content. Oh yeah, there's also racist practices in the mix, which the woke liberals support because minority groups and all that oppression stuff. Minority groups, eh? It just adds to which of the two demographics are less in numbers, huh? I will leave some links in the description so that you can compare how present days Disney movies did against the movies in the past if you want. With the family-friendly products out of the way, let's see how well liberals do against conservatives in the world of grown-ups. Not that well by the looks of it. Enter Bud Light and Miller Lite. These two beer brands are prime examples of what happens when you lose touch with your consumer base, leading you to piss them off so much that they stop buying your products. It would have been smart of them to piss off conservatives if woke liberals made up for the majority of their consumers. But they didn't know apparently, and they found out the hard way. For no apparent reason other than diversity and inclusivity. See, this is what inevitably happens when you have a vision, without a firm grasp on reality. Like, what the hell were they thinking? It is true that money talks, but just like with Bud Light, some other companies forget this fact. Take the Dead or Alive fighting game series for one. These games clearly have sexual elements to them, and they have even made spin-off games where it's basically all about the sex appeal. Regardless, a lot of people all over the world are willing to buy these games. But despite this fact, the developers actually bowed down to the vocal minority, the ones who weren't going to give them money in the first place. As a result, one of the games never saw an official release in the West, and future games will become more censored. So why do companies listen to people who not only don't give them money, but actively despise them? Who really knows? And can you really call it a boycott if the protesters never had the intention of supporting the product in the first place? Regardless, it just really goes to show that it is important to understand that sometimes you must choose a side. If you try to please everyone, you'll just end up making all sides angry instead. Okay, so we had looked at a few instances of what will happen when you create a consumer base of conservatives, only to then announce you'll be partnering with their enemy, woke liberals. At this point, you may be asking yourself, why does the fresh new liberal company aim for attracting liberals and not conservatives? Well, it sure is a lot easier said than done. Compared to quote-unquote conservative products, quote-unquote liberal products are very niche. Liberal companies must basically be prepared to sacrifice a lot of potential profit for the sake of their message. But in some instances, it is simply not sustainable. It costs a lot of money to produce a Hollywood-esque movie. So, how many people are going to watch a gay romance or some other LGBTQ-oriented movie? Not that many. Even among straight people, there's a big chunk who has zero to no interest in romances. Couple that with the fact the same applies for gay people, and you have even less people wanting to watch your movie. It should also be noted that LGBTQ is an acronym which is fundamentally about sex, which again just doesn't resonate with a lot of people. At the very least, not on the big screen. I think. Just remember I said that this kind of stuff is very niche. In any case, a successful movie which doesn't revolve around LGBTQ can have LGBTQ characters, but just like with straight characters, people with standards won't find them interesting unless their roles are well written. I think that should do it for this video. So let me ask you this. Can you now see which side doesn't need the other to become and stay successful? And which one, more often than not, tries to latch on to the other for any amount of success? Being unable to leave the other side alone, basically. And if constant change lies at the heart of liberal beliefs, when will they ever be satisfied? I believe there's a name for people who are never satisfied, no matter how much they get and take from others.
You know, feels really good to piss all over their little boycott. Well, now the right-wingers are all mad at Miller Lite because apparently they joined the woke cult. I swear to God, I'm so glad to hear that so I can go back to drinking my Miller Lite. I am. What? Did you think I was going to waste this? No, I bought a case of this crap just to piss them off.
This right here is the very definition of cope. Not only does he think consuming a product the opposition doesn't like is gonna make them lose sleep, but he openly admitted he's drinking Bud Light just out of spite. Also, have you seen what the boycotters are doing by comparison? You really need to step up your game, Paul, just saying. To be fair, nobody should have to subject themselves to alcohol poisoning. No, nothing like that. If you know what I mean.